Why did Europe have 3 popes at the same time? During the 14th century, the center of the Catholic world was contentious. Back in 1303, the Kingdom of France and the Papacy were at each other's throats, with the French King Philip IV wanting to use church finances to pay for a war. This angered Pope Boniface VIII, calling for Philip's excommunication, but he was beaten by French-Italian allies before this could be finalized. He died soon after. After a period of chaos in the 8-month-long papacy of Pope Benedict XI, King Philip was absolved of his actions, followed by the election of French Pope Clement V in 1305. In 1309, he moved the Roman Curia out of Rome to the city of Avignon, a small commercial town, marking the start of the Avignon papacy. For decades, French influence on the papacy greatly increased, with more French cardinals and exclusively French popes, all guarded by French troops. However, it should be noted that France and its people were not unified at this time, with Occitania, Languedoc, and Al having distinct cultures, the latter not even being formally part of France. Therefore, not all French popes necessarily shared the same identity. Of course, this relationship between the papacy and the French crown was hated by the rest of Europe. As a result, combined with pressure from those around him and his allies, Avignon Pope Gregory XI announced his intention to return to Rome in 1376. However, soon after arriving, he considered reversing this decision, but he passed away shortly after. Rome's cardinals, sensing opportunity, quickly elected Pope Urban VI. However, the harshness and brutality of Urban soon compelled many of the cardinals who elected him to argue that his election was invalid due to pressure from rioting Roman crowds. The dissenting cardinals soon met to the south of Rome and elected Count Robert of Geneva as Pope Clement VII, who soon escaped to Naples, ruled by his ally Queen Joanna I. However, the people of Naples were supporters of Urban, causing Clement to flee to Avignon, re-establishing the papal court there and starting the Western Schism. The Catholic world now had 2 popes. Clement was, of course, supported by France alongside many major states including Castile, Aragon, and Naples. Urban, on the other hand, was supported by countries like England, Poland, and most of the states of the Holy Roman Empire. However, these differences in support were often a result of political squabbles rather than actual religious beliefs. For decades, Europe functioned with this 2-pope dynamic, with countries and people picking sides. By 1406, the 2 popes were Avignon Pope Benedict XIII and Roman Pope Gregory XII respectively, who, following discussions around ending the schism, agreed to meet and negotiate a solution in Savona. However, both men backed out at the last minute, and in 1409, their cardinals abandoned them and met at the Council of Pisa. The cardinals agreed to depose both popes, but they refused. The council responded by electing yet another pope, Peter Filargi, as Pope Alexander V. He died soon after and was replaced by John XXIII. Europe now had 3 popes, one in Rome, one in Avignon, and one in Pisa, though the latter had very little support and was considered illegitimate by the other 2. Also keep in mind that today, the popes in Avignon and Pisa during this time are considered anti-popes by the Catholic Church, or invalid. By 1414, Pisan Pope John pushed for the end of the schism, calling the Council of Constance, which was approved by Rome's Pope Gregory. The council soon issued Haec Sancta, announcing that it had the authority to remove popes, though this is not accepted today. The council forced the resignation of Gregory and John, but Avignon Pope Benedict refused to step down. In 1417, he was excommunicated, all while his popular support drained, which wasn't helped by the council electing Pope Martin V. Europe, now down to 2 popes, functioned this way until 1429, when Benedict's successor Clement VIII resigned and recognized Martin V, the Catholic world's one and only pope in the city of Rome. Thus ended the Western Schism, one of Catholicism's most confusing times. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, like and subscribe, or even become a member to receive benefits like custom emotes and shoutouts at the end of my videos. I appreciate all of your help.